She can see you. Glass stopped clinking. The room went still. The billionaire turned his head. The waitress held the tray like a shield. The girl in the black dress touched her cane, then froze in place. "Excuse me," his voice carried. Calm, sharp, dangerous. The waitress didn't look away. "Your daughter, look at her. She's looking at you." The girl tilted her face toward him, not at his voice, at his eyes. Then she flinched and dropped her gaze. The tiniest betrayal, enough. "Security," he said. Two men in suits moved. The waitress stepped back but didn't run. She slid the tray down on a side table without a sound. Her hands shook. She lifted a folded napkin from her apron. A pencil sketch peeked from inside, lines of a chandelier, an arc of crystal, a spray of lights. "She drew this 10 minutes ago," she said, "at this table, while everyone thought she was blind." The guests stared. Phones were already up. The logo of the night's gala, Hale Vision Foundation, glowed behind them in white letters. The tagline read, "See the future." "Who are you?" he asked. "A waitress," she said, "the one who watched her avoid a cable on the floor she wasn't supposed to see. The one who saw her wince at the flash on your friend's camera before it clicked." His jaw tightened. He looked down at his daughter. She looked everywhere else but him. "Lily," he said, voice soft enough to make the nearest tables lean in. "Sweetheart, tell them." Her fingers tightened around the cane. Silence pressed in. Cameras formed a skin around the table. "She can see you," the waitress repeated. "Why are you asking her to lie?" He took a step toward the waitress. His hand hovered above the napkin. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Then take her hand away from the cane," the waitress said. "Take the glasses off, just for a second. Let her decide." He reached for the cane. Lily flinched and pulled it back. She wasn't braced for touch. She was braced for something else. For the room. "Sir," one of the security men said, hand to earpiece. "Outside press is at the door." "Keep them there," he said without looking. The waitress lifted the napkin and unfolded the sketch fully. It wasn't good. It was exact. Every prism drawn with quick strokes. A circle in the corner marked with lines, a camera on a tripod. "How could she know that camera is there?" the waitress asked. "It's behind her." "She hears," he said. "She imagines." He snatched for the napkin. The waitress pulled it back and slid it under the tray. Her voice dropped. "She can see you," she said again. Then she turned her head slightly away from him toward Lily. "If you want help, squeeze the tray." Lily's hand didn't move. Her chest did. A breath she tried to make small but couldn't. The billionaire looked from the waitress to his daughter, calculating. The room leaned in farther. His assistant appeared at his elbow, whispering fast. His eyes didn't leave his daughter. He set a hand on the back of her chair. "Lily, it's okay," he said, smile thin, voice for the cameras now. "Everyone here loves you. You can tell them how brave you are." She swallowed. The waitress watched her throat, the way it bobbed before she answered. "Do you want the lights down?" the waitress asked. "It's bright in here." Lily's head lifted a fraction, that tiny, automatic hope. He saw it. He saw all of it too late. "No," he said. "We keep the program moving." He gave the signal to the band. The band didn't move. Every eye was on the table. Someone whispered, "Is she?" The waitress shifted her weight and pointed. "The exit sign," she said softly, for Lily alone. "How many letters?" Lily's lips parted. Her father's fingers tightened on the chair. "Don't," he said, still smiling. "Don't play games with a stranger." "E," Lily whispered. So quiet that only the waitress and the two nearest guests heard. They heard enough. It traveled through the room faster than the music ever could. "E," someone repeated. "She said E." The waitress exhaled. "Okay," she said gently. "Okay," he straightened. A laugh broke out of him that wasn't a laugh. "This is ridiculous," he said. "She has light perception, shapes at best. The doctors... Do the doctors know she can step around a lipstick tube on the floor?" The waitress said, "Because she did. Twice." He turned on her. "Who trained you to do this?" His voice lost polish. "Which outlet? Which competitor?" "None," she said. "She asked me where the bathroom was. She walked straight to it on the first try. There's no tape on the floor. There's no staff to guide." She looked at Lily. "You can see more than you're allowed to say." Silence again. A fork dropped somewhere. The sound rang like a bell. He stared at his daughter. "Lily," her jaw trembled. "Dad," she said the word like she hadn't used it in a while. Before she could continue, the assistant pulled at his sleeve, whispering again. He shook her off. "We're done," he said to the waitress. "You will leave my event now." He signaled to security. The men moved in. The waitress didn't fight. She lifted her hands. Her eyes stayed on Lily. "If you want this to stop," she said, "you don't need me, just take off your glasses." Lily's fingers went to the frames, stopped. Her father leaned forward, his shadow falling across her. "Don't," he murmured. "We talked about this." The waitress' mouth tightened. Her eyes flashed with something. Recognition. Anger, fear. She set her jaw as security took her elbow and steered her back. She went slowly, step by step. When she reached the edge of the table, she raised her voice just enough. "Do you remember the photo slideshow earlier?" she said. "They turned the sound off. You laughed at the dog in the sunglasses." His face blanched. She was gone then, swallowed by the black suits and the curious crowd. But the crack she'd made didn't close. It widened. Minutes before, in the service hallway, steam billowed from a line of plates. The waitress had been waiting for the cue to parade dessert. She glanced down the corridor and seen the girl in black leaning between two waiters, alone, palms pressed to the cool tile. Sunglasses pushed up onto her head. Eyes open. The girl had been staring at her own reflection in the chrome of a coffee urn. Not listening. Staring. Focused. The kind of focus that knows shapes, edges, light. A piece of lint had clung to the hem of her dress. The girl had taken a breath and reached for it before her fingers even brushed it. She'd pinched the lint away without missing. She'd smiled at nothing. Then she'd heard footsteps and shoved the glasses back in place so fast she'd fumbled them. They'd clattered to the floor. She'd crushed her eyes shut. The reaction had been pure fear. The waitress had bent, picking up the glasses, and held them out. She'd kept her voice low, like she was handing over contraband in a library. "Do you want me to pretend I didn't see?" she'd asked. The girl had flinched. Then she'd nodded, a tiny, desperate nod. "Do you want help?" the waitress had asked. She'd blinked quickly, tears sitting in her lashes like they weren't allowed to fall. She'd whispered one word. "Please." Now, back in the ballroom, the billionaire raised his glass like a sword and tried to regain the night. He shot the band leader a look that promised invoices. The band struck a chord, wrong and apologetic. On the third note, the speakers cut. A squeal, then silence. Heads turned. Eyes searched for the tech. On a balcony, a teenage AV volunteer stared at a control board like it had betrayed him. In the quiet, the waitress' voice floated back from the edge of the room. "Say the color." Lily stood. It startled the room more than a shout would have. She was smaller than the stories made her, taller than the photos. She lifted her chin, not toward the sound, but toward the face she knew better than any. Her father took a step back. "Blue," she said, hands shaking so hard the cane ticked against the chair. "Your tie is blue. It's the bright one you wear when you want cameras to love you." He went still. The word rolled across the room like thunder. Someone near the back clapped once, involuntary. Stopped. The room waited for permission to breathe. "You guessed," he said faintly. She swallowed. She reached for her glasses again, stopped again. He held up both hands, meaning to calm, but it looked like a plea. "We have an announcement planned," he said to the room, looking anywhere but at her. "Remarkable progress. A medical miracle. We were going to do it right, in a way that protects her, and the work we do." The waitress stepped forward through a gap in the suits that shouldn't have been there. Another waiter had moved without any cue, just a shoulder turned at the right moment. She slid back to the edge of the table like water finds a crack. "Protects who?" she asked. His eyes cut to her. "You don't know our life." She lifted her phone, not a threat, a fact. "I know enough," she said. "Because you said it back hallway 2 hours ago." He stared. "I haven't talked to you." "You talked at me," she said. "When I asked if Lily was allowed to remove her glasses because of the stage lights, you said, and I quote, 'The donors love the image, don't mess with what works.'" A murmur rippled. His face went hard. The assistant went paler than the white flowers on the tables. "That was off the record," he snapped. "It was by the kitchen door," the waitress said. "There is no record." He started to speak, stopped, started again. The words wouldn't come. "Dad," Lily said. It wasn't a plea, it was a line in the sand. She reached up. This time she didn't stop. She took the glasses off. Light hit her eyes. She blinked fast, not in pain, but like someone stepping out from under a shadow. The pupils shrunk. She lifted her gaze and held it on her father's face. She looked. Really looked. He flinched like he'd been hit. He took a breath, long and slow, old teacher training in his ribs, and reached for her cheek. She followed his hand without thinking. It broke something in him visible to the front 2 rows, but not the cameras, something that had been steel and was now something else. Lily, he said. The name held warning, love, a lifetime of rules all twisted together. We'll talk at home. No, she said. We'll talk here. The waitress didn't move, didn't speak. She had done her part. The room belonged to them now. I can see, Lily said. Not perfectly, enough to know when you decide what I am in your speeches. Her voice steadied as she kept going. They said it might come back. It did. 2 weeks ago, I told Miss Rizzo. She cried with me. He blinked. The therapist knew. She's my therapist, Lily said. Not your PR coach. You told no one else. His voice shrank on the question like he was bracing for a blow he didn't expect. I told you today, she said. Files, emails, timetables rearranged themselves behind his eyes. He shook his head. No, he said. That's not possible. It is, the waitress said quietly. She tried. Lily looked at the waitress, then back at her father. I sent a voice memo. You forwarded it to your legal team by mistake. She paused. You wrote hold reveal until Q4. The room did the math. Q4 meant money. Revenue. Campaign frames, not medicine, not girl. He looked like he was trying to wake up from a version of himself he'd hired. He opened his mouth, closed it. Something ugly flickered across his face, then something honest. He said, I was wrong. It wasn't enough. It was also everything. He reached for her hand again, slower. I'm sorry, he said. And then to the room, to the cameras, to the boards and donors and the names on the program. I'm sorry. I'm a father who stopped seeing his kid. The assistant touched her head, either to steady herself or to press an earpiece tighter. Security faltered, as if waiting for a new script. The waitress let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. She looked at Lily. Lily looked back. They held the look for 1 second too long to be polite. A woman rose from a table near the stage, late 50s, gray hair, expensive suit. She moved the way people walk in rooms they paid for. She was the foundation's board chair. She addressed the billionaire without moving her eyes off Lily. Is it true we have been soliciting funds under a claim that is no longer accurate? He rubbed his temple. As of 2 weeks ago, he said, his voice cracked. Yes, the board chair nodded once, a motion like a gavel. Then the gala is over, she said. The foundation will refund donations tied to that claim. Effective immediately, oversight moves to the board. He turned toward her, old reflexes rising. He controlled them. Barely. You can't. I can, she said. You gave me that power when you hired me to look like a conscience. Someone near the back laughed. It sounded like relief under a cough. The board chair looked at Lily. Her voice softened. How much can you see? Enough, Lily said. Not like before, but enough. The woman nodded again. Do you want to join the board? She asked, plain and simple, as if offering a chair at a family table. He inhaled sharply. Lily looked at her father. He didn't hide this time. He let her see the fear, the loss, the love he hadn't known how to use. Yes, Lily said, but I want youth voices who aren't me. I want a roommate who isn't on your payroll, and I want the glasses off when I don't need them. He looked stunned, then smiled, small and raw. Done, he said. The room exhaled, not applause yet, something deeper, the bend that happens when a storm finally decides which way to go. Phones recorded, comments buzzed. Somewhere a headline wrote itself. The waitress slid the napkin sketch back across the table toward Lily with a gentle push. That's good, she said. The drawing. Lily's cheeks flushed. She looked at the napkin, then she looked up and full-on smiled. People would freeze frame that later and write paragraphs about it. In the room, it felt like light. Thank you, she said to the waitress. 2 words, heavier than the gala's centerpiece. The billionaire straightened and faced the microphones he hadn't asked for. He took a breath that sounded like a door opening. We are going to tell the truth, he said. All of it, not because we were caught, because my daughter asked me to see her. He looked at her when he said it. He didn't blink. Starting with me, he added. Effective tonight, I step aside as CEO of the foundation. The board runs the ship, including my daughter if she accepts. Our work will stand only if it doesn't stand on her. The board chair raised an eyebrow, impressed and wary. She nodded slowly. The donors shifted, recalibrating generosity with integrity. He turned to his assistant. Call Klein, he said. The assistant flinched. He softened. The doctor, he added. And my calendar. Clear it. I'm going home with my kid. Security faded into the carpet like they'd never been there. The band leader lowered his baton. The waitress collected the glasses, leaving their table, and set them on her tray. One of the security guys cleared his throat. You okay? He asked her, not the billionaire. She was shaking now that the center had moved on. Yeah, she said. You, he half smiled. Ask me when the clip hits the internet. They shared a breath with something like camaraderie in it. Then she turned back and found Lily watching her, watching, not listening, not guessing. Watching? How did you know? Lily asked quietly. The waitress glanced at the napkin sketch. She had dozens like it in a drawer at home. Lines drawn in between shifts because hands told truths mouths couldn't risk. My brother, she said. He went blind when we were kids. He taught me what seeing looks like. And what it doesn't. Lily's eyes flickered. A fresh story moved behind them. It could wait. Will you work for me? Lily asked. Not like, she gestured around. Not like this. Just someone who tells me when I'm not seeing. The waitress laughed softly, surprised. I'm a waitress. You see, Lily said. That's the job. The billionaire looked at her, not with suspicion, with the kind of gratitude that knows how much he didn't earn it. We'll pay well, he said, the old habits breaking down under new ones, and you'll tell me no. I already did, she said. He winced. Then he smiled. Right. The board chair clapped twice. It was enough. The room joined, polite at first, then warm. The sound lifted and curled around the chandelier in Lily's drawing. She looked up. She didn't hide that it made her dizzy. She let herself hold the chair with both hands and breathe through it. The applause subsided. The donors moved in. Some offered business cards smells like ink. Some offered hugs that didn't land right. Some simply nodded at Lily like she'd opened a window they hadn't known was stuck. The assistant approached the waitress. HR will need your information, she said, a truce balanced on a single thread. Okay, the waitress said, but I have a second shift at the diner at 11. Lily laughed quietly. You can be late, she said. You just changed my life. The waitress shook her head. You changed it, she said. I was just loud. He put his hand on Lily's back, just a touch. Not a guide, a connection. Let's go home, he said, and call Miss Rizzo and your grandmother and tell them I'm bringing pizza and apologies. Lily turned to the waitress. You like pizza? Always. Come, Lily said, simple as an invitation to look, if you want. The waitress looked back at the kitchen door, where steam still rose and plates waited and a chef would be cursing softly because the schedule had been murdered. I'll ask Chef, she said. He'll yell, then he'll pretend he didn't. She took a step toward the door, then paused and turned. Hey, she said to the billionaire. He looked up, ready for a fight that didn't come. She nodded at his tie. Aja was right. Cameras love it less than your daughter does, he laughed. And for the first time that night, it sounded like a person. They left the ballroom together. The board chair started triage. The donors found charity in their own pockets instead of his. The band packed up with relief and a story. Outside, the night was the ordinary kind, full of streetlights and strangers and the smell of a late train. The waitress pulled open the service door and let the cool air hit her face. She took one last look back. Lily stood in the doorway without her glasses. She squinted up at the moon like it was an old friend who'd been waiting in the same place the whole time. Thank you, Lily called softly, voice carrying in the concrete alley, for seeing me. The waitress lifted a hand. Anytime. A siren wailed somewhere, a bus hissed. The door swung shut on a room full of donors and brand statements and careful lies untangling. It was messy. It was better. Inside the hallway, the chef glanced up, saw her, and opened his mouth. Do not start, she said. He closed it. Then he grunted. Go, he said, flipping a pan like a punctuation mark. Bring me a slice. She grinned. On it. She stepped back into a night that had changed because a girl took off her glasses in a room that made a living off the power of sight. People would argue later about who was the hero. The waitress didn't care. Every story is a question. Tonight's was simple. Who sees whom? Tonight the answer was enough.